Silly things that Christians say.
Alright VYG, so we're back with the last episode of the mini-series. Yes, it's come and gone quite quickly. Silly things that Christians say. And I'm here alone for this last episode to talk about what I think is the most serious of all of these so far. And it's the silly saying where Christians ask why. So when Christians ask God why, maybe you can notice the weather behind me. Don't know if you can see it. We're in hurricane season or cyclone season here in Fiji. And surely houses are going to get flooded. People may even have to evacuate certain areas depending on how serious it gets. We're keeping up to date with the news. People may lose a lot. And I can already imagine many Christians saying, God, why is this happening? I've dealt with cases where mothers, they lost babies. I'm talking about babies that were born in their first year, they died, or babies that were born dead. I'm talking about cases where Christians, people who are faithfully attending church, they suffer an unexpected loss in the family, unexpected loss financially. And they ask the question, why? And even as you're watching this, especially you who may be going through something like what I've mentioned or something else similar, you might even be thinking, there's nothing silly about that. That's reasonable for me to ask God why. But this is not going to take much time. I mean, I could go into where some Christians, they try to explain, the ripple effect it's called, where one bad thing today can many years or many actions down the line can lead to something good. And so God, he looks at that and he allows that bad thing to happen to be something better in the future. I could do many explanations for it, but I'm not going to take time with that. I just want for you to think about this. A famous verse that most likely you've heard before. God's ways are not our ways. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And even when I say that to you, you could still easily be expecting an explanation for all the things you're going through. And I don't try to offer that even as a pastor. I don't try to give an explanation for everything bad that happens around me or even to me sometimes. But I want for you to do something that you're definitely not doing right now if you're asking God why. You're not thinking of the gap between you and him. I mean, people have tried to write about it, and I really appreciate what they've written. I appreciate things like Psalm 39:5, if I'm not wrong, where the psalmist says that human beings, we're just like vapor at our very best state. We're like vapor, water vapor. And other examples like, I think Isaiah saying that God can hold the mountains in his hand. He can pick up the mountains like a very small thing. And he can hold all the waters of the earth in the hollow of his hand. But I want for you to go deeper, because we're in modern times. They were writing thousands of years ago. I want for you to think of the fact that right now we have more than 7 billion, almost 8 billion people recorded in the world. And that God knows everything all of them are doing, including you right now. I do this probably at least once a week, maybe more often than that. I stop, I sit down and I just think about God's greatness. I think about the fact that if I try to compare me and ants to God and us, it's not correct. I mean, think of an ant, how small it is. If you step upon it, you don't care. Unless you're one of those extreme naturist people. But the gap between us and God is much bigger than that. I want you to think about when you're in a plane and everything seems so tiny, even skyscrapers. The gap between us and God is much bigger than that. I mean, even the sun, which is many, many times bigger than the earth, is nothing to God. Again, God, he knows all of our thoughts, our actions, the things we will do, the things we've done. I'm talking about billions of individual thoughts, words, and actions. Just I've done and you've done, multiplied by everyone on the earth now, over 8 or almost 8 billion, multiplied by everyone who's ever lived and ever will live. Look at the gap. I don't want to ask someone so great why this is happening to me. Instead, I should change my why to what. What can I do to change the situation that I don't like, if it's going to be a part of your will? So here's the last silly saying. I want to leave you with this one because I believe out of all of them, it's going to leave you thinking the most. And it's going to help you to understand the power of our words, our questions. And how maybe God, looking down from heaven, could easily be shaking his head and saying, this Christian doesn't have a clue how silly what they're saying is. Until next time, take care, VYG. God bless.